Hello, beautiful people. I'm going to be reading Pride and Prejudice, Volume 2, Chapter 11. Let's start now. When they were gone, Elizabeth, as if intending to exasperate herself as much as possible against Mr. Darcy, chose for her employment the examination of all the letter which Jane had written to her since her being in Kent. They contained no actual complaint, nor was there any revival of past reoccurrences or any communication of present suffering, but in all and in almost every line of each there was a want of that cheerfulness which had been used to characterize her style, and which, proceeding from the sincerity of a mind at ease with her itself, and kindly disposed towards everyone, had been scarcely ever clouded. Elizabeth noticed every sentence conveying the idea of uneasiness and eas- eas- uneasiness with with an attention which had been hardly received on the first let me look up this word. Perusal. Mr. Darcy's shameful boast of what misery had been able to inflict gave her a keener sense of her sister's suffering. It was some consolation to think that his visit to Rosen was to end on the day after the next, and still greater, that in less than a fortnight she should herself be with Jane again, and enabled to contribute to the recovery of her spirits or by all that affection could do. She could not think of Darcy's leaving Kent without remembering what his cousin was to go with him. But Colonel Fitzwilliam had made it clear that he had no intentions at all, and agreeable as he was, she did not mean to be unhappy about him. While settling this point, she was sadly roused. Is it roused? Let me look up this word. Roused. Roused by the sound of the doorbell, and her spirits were a little fluttered by the idea of it being Colonel Fitzwilliam himself, who had once before called late in the evening, and might now come to inquire particularly after her. But this idea was soon banished, and her spirits were very differently affected when, to her utter amazement, she saw Mr. Darcy walk into the room in an hurried manner. He immediately began an inquiry of after her health, imputing his visit to a wish of hearing that she were better. She answered him with cold civility. He sat down for a few moments, and then, getting up, walked about the room. Elizabeth was surprised and said not a word. After a silence of several minutes, he came towards her in an agitated manner, and thus began. In vain have I struggled. It will not do. My feelings will not be suppressed. You must allow me to tell you how urgently, is it urgently? Ardently, ardently, admire and love you. Elizabeth's astonishment was beyond oh my goodness. Aspira- expression. She stared, colored, doubted, and was silent. This he considered significant encouragement and the avowal, avow, avowal of all that he felt and had long felt for her immediately followed. He spoke well, and there were feelings beside those of the heart to be detailed, and he was not more eloquent on the subject of tenderness than of, of pride. His sense of her inferiority and way of it being a degradation of the family obstacles which judgment has always posed to inclination were dealt on with a warmth which seemed due to the consistent coincidence he was wounded and was very likely unlikely to recommend his suit. In spite of her deeply rooted dislike, she could not be insensible to the compliments of such a man's affection, and though her intentions did not vary for an instant, she was at first sorry for the pain he was to receive, till aroused to resignment by his subsequent language. She lost all the compassion and anger. She tried, however, to compose herself to answer him with patience when he should have done. When he should have done, he concluded with representing to her the strength of that attachment which, in spite of all his endeavours, he had found impossible to conquer, and with expressing his hope that it would now be rewarded by her acceptance of his hands. As he said this, she could easily see that he had no doubt of a favourable answer. He spoke of apprehension and anxiety, but but his countenance expressed real security. Such a circumstance could only exasperate further, and when he ceased, the color rose into her cheeks and said, in such cases as this, it is, I believe, that the established mode to express a sense of obligation for the sentiment avowed, however unequally they may be returned. It is natural that obligation should be felt, and if I could feel gratitude, I would not thank you, but I cannot. I have never desired your good opinion, and you have certainly bestowed it most unwillingly. I am sorry to have occasioned pain to anyone. It has been most unconsciously done, however, and I hope will be a short duration. The feelings which you tell me have long prevented the ac- acknowledgement of your regard can have little difficulties in overcoming it after this explanation. Mr. Darcy, who was leaning against the mantelpiece with his eyes fixed on her face, seemed to catch his words with no less resentment than surprise. His companion, sorry, his complexion became pale with anger, and the disturbance of his mind was visible in every feature. He was struggling for the appearance of composure and would not open his mouth till he believed himself to have obtained it. The pause was to Elizabeth's feeling. The pause was to Elizabeth's feelings dreadful. As lent in a voice of forced calmness, he said, "And this is all the reply which I am to have the honour of expecting. I might perhaps wish to be informed why, with so little endeavour at civility, I am thought rejected, and it is a small importance." Oh. But it is of small importance. I must as well inquire, replied she. Why with so evident a design of offering and insulting me, you chose to tell me that you like me against your will, against your reason, even against your character? Was not this some excuse for incivility? If I was if I was uncivil, but I have other pre-vocations. You know I have. I had not my own feelings decided against you. Had they been indifferent or had they even been favorable, do you think that any consideration would attempt me to accept the man who has been the means of ruin, perhaps forever, the happiness of a most beloved sister? As she pronounced these words, Mr. Darcy changed color, but the motion was short, and he listened without interrupting to interrupt her. He listened without attempting to interrupt her while she continued. I have every reason in this world to think ill of you. No motive can excuse the unjust and ungrateful part of you acted there. You dare not, you cannot deny that you have been the principal, if not the only means of dividing them from each other, of exposing cons- of the sensual, one of the sensual of the world for caprice and instability, the other of its derivation. Let me look up this word. Oh my goodness. This girl, she is so. Oh my goodness. I respect her though. Derision. To its derision for the disappointed hopes, and involving them both in misery of the acuteness kind. She paused and saw with no slight indignation, and he was listening with an air which proved him woolly. I think it's woolly. Oh my goodness. Wholly unmoved by any feelings of remorse. He even looked at her with a smile of affected incredulity. Can you deny that you have done it? She repeated. With assumed tranquillity, he then replied, I have no wish of denying that I did everything in my power to separate my friend from your sister, or that I rejoice in my success. Towards him I have been kinder than towards myself. Elizabeth drained disdain this sorry, let me look up this word. Disdained. Elizabeth disdained the appearance of noticing the civil reflection, and its meaning did not escape none. Was it likely to con, con, consolate? I think it's consolate. Conciliate her. But it is not merely this affair, she continued, on which my dislike is founded. Long before it had taken place, my opinion of you was decided. Your character was unfolded in recital which I received many months ago from Wickham. On this subject, what can you have what can you have to say? In what imaginary act of friendship can you here defend yourself, or under what misrepresentation can you here impose upon others? You take an eager interest in that gentleman's concern, said Darcy in a less tranquil tone, and with a heightened color. Who that knows who that knows what his misfortunes have been can help feeling an interest in him. His misfortunes. His misfortunes, repeated Darcy, contempt. Oh my goodness, look at this word. Oh my goodness. Elizabeth is not having it, bruh. Elizabeth is not having it. Contemptuously. Contemptuously. Yes, his misfortunes have been great indeed. And of your oh my goodness. I'm loving this, but the words is killing me. I'm loving this chapter. Infliction. And of your infliction, cried Elizabeth with energy. You have reduced him to his present state of poverty, comparative poverty. You have withheld the advantages which you must know to have been designed for him. You have deprived the best years of his life and of that independence which was no less his due than his desert. You have done all this, and yet you can treat the mention of his misfortunes with contempt and ridicule, radical. And this, cried Darcy as he walked with a quick steps towards the room. Is your opinion of me? This is the estimation in which you hold me. I thank you for explaining it so fully. My thoughts, according to this calculation, are heavy indeed. But perhaps, added he, walking in his walk and turning towards her, these offences might have been overlooked had not your pride been hurt by my honest confession of the. Let me look up this word. I'm loving this. Oh my goodness. Now, I'm loving this scene. Guys, let me hurry up. Scruples. Not had not your pride been hurt by my most honest confession of the scruples that had long prevented my forming any serious design, this bitter accusation might have been suppressed had I with greater policy concealed my struggles and flattered you into the belief of being impelled by unqualified. Okay, let me look up this word. Hurry, I'm loving the scene. Okay. Unalloyed. Unalloyed. Okay. Unqualified, unalloyed inclination by reason, by reflection, by any everything. But the skies of every sort is my abhorrence. Is it abhorrence? Let me look up this word. Abhorrence. Abhorrence. Oh, none am I ashamed of the feelings I related. They were natural and just. Could you expect me to rejoice in the inferiority of your connections, to congratulate myself on the hopes of relations whose condition in life is so decidedly beyond my own? Elizabeth felt herself growing more angry every moment, yet she tried to the utmost to speak with composure when she said, "You are mistaken, Mr. Darcy. If you suppose that the mode of your decoration affected me in any other way than as it spared me the concern which I might have felt in refusing you, had you behaved in a most gentlemanlike manner." She saw him stare at this, and he said nothing, and she continued, "You could not have made me the offer of your hands in any possible way that would have tempted me to accept it. Again his astonishment was obvious, and he looked at her with an expression of mingled incredulity and mortification. She went on. From the very beginning, from the first moment, I may almost say, of my acquaintance with you, your manners impressing me with a foolish belief of your ignorance, your conceit, and your selfish disdain. Wait, look at me, man. Oh my goodness, Elizabeth.
Disdain.
Selfish disdain of the feelings of others was such as to inform the groundwork of this po- disapprobation, of which succeeding events have built so immovable a dislike, and had not known you a month before I felt that you were the last man in the world whom I could never be prevailed on to marry. Oh my goodness, Elizabeth is mad, man. Sorry. Oh, oh my God. You have said quite enough, madam. I perfectly comprehend your feelings, and I have now only to be ashamed of what my own have been. Forgive me for having up so much of your time, and accept my best wishes for your health and happiness. And with these words, he hastily left the room, and Elizabeth heard him the next morning open the front door and quit the house. Let me look up this word. Oh my goodness, Elizabeth.
Tumult.
The tumult of her mind was now painfully grey. She knew not how to support herself, and from the actual weakness sat down and cried for half an hour. Her astonishment, as she reflected on what she had passed, was increased by every review of it, and that she should receive an offer of marriage from Mr. Darcy, that should have been in love with her for so that he should have been in love with her for so many months, so much in love as to wish to marry her in spite of all the objections which had made him prevent his friends marrying her sister, which must appear at least with equal force in his own case, was almost incredible. It was great for Ian to have inspired unconsciously so strong in an affection, but his pride, his ab- abominable pride, his shameless avowal of what he had done with his reject with what he had done with respect to Jane, his unpardonable assurance in acknowledging, though he could not justify it, and the unfeeling manner in which he had mentioned Mr. Wickham, his cruelty towards whom he had not attempted to deny, soon overcome the pity which the consideration of his attachment had for a moment excited. She continued in a very agitating reflection till the sound of Lady Catherine's carriage made her feel how unequal she was to encounter Charlotte's obs- ob- observation, and hurried her away to her room. Oh my goodness. Wow. That was oh my goodness. That's my reaction. Oh my goodness. I feel bad. I feel bad. Oh. Let's see what happens next. Guys, you already saw my reaction. already saw my. I'm not laughing. Wow. No, whoa. What? Oh my goodness. I'm not laughing. I'm just like, wow. Just wow. That's my reaction. Wow. Wow, it's my reaction. Well, I'm so proud of myself for reading this. I'm gonna read the next chapter tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you. And I'm proud of myself for reading this. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.